Okay, and we are live. Hey everyone, this is Nicholas Roman, author and creator of Scratch Health, How to Create a Whole New You in 90 Days from Scratch. Continuing on this week on our episode, we're going to start the expert panel once again, and today we have, yet again, a fantastic expert with tremendous expertise. His name is Dr. Gary Epler, and we're going to be introducing him in just a second. Want to kind of go into his background a little bit because we've had several experts from several different backgrounds. This gentleman here is just a little unique because when I say he's somebody who's kind of done it all, I mean, you'll see from yourself as we talk about what he's done and what he's accomplished, and as he goes over that himself, it's pretty amazing, some of the things that he's done. But Dr. Gary Epler is actually, he's an internationally known author and speaker, which is just phenomenal. Speaking with him before the broadcast, you'll be able to see his ability to speak and get his point across is pretty awesome, actually. He's a pulmonary and critical care professional at Harvard Medical School. He's written 4 health books, which is actually the critically acclaimed You're the Boss series, Taking Charge of Your Health and Disease, including Manage Your Disease, BOOP, which is B-O-O-P, Asthma and Food, and one of his newest books, which is Level 10 Energy, which you're going to see as he starts talking. He actually, it's not something that he's saying, it's not marketing. He actually encompasses this. You're going to see the energy as he talks. I mean, he has more energy than me when we talk, which actually shouldn't be the case, and considering I'm just as athletic as he is, but he kills me with energy. But this gentleman here, he's found a new parasite in South America, chronicled the nutritional needs of the North African children. He managed a tuberculosis refugee program in Southeast Asia. So he's been all around the world. In addition to conducting clinical and research work, he also became the editor-in-chief of an internet-based educational program in critical care and pulmonary medicine offered by the American College of Chest Physicians. He was also acclaimed by Business Week in his development of e-health educational programs that enabled patients to manage their health and diseases. And if that wasn't enough, he was also recognized yearly from 1994 to 2013 as one of the best doctors in America, and recognized from Boston Magazine's 2007's doctor, basically one of the best doctors in town. He was also one of the former doctors of the Boston Celtics. So you see, he has a wide range of experiences from all over the place. So without further ado, let me not steal any more of his shine. Appreciate you being on the show today. This is the Dr. Gary Epler.
Hey, Nick. Fantastic. What is that guy?
There he is.
Sounds good.
How you doing, Dr. Epler?
Oh, fantastic. We get to talk about level 10 energy tonight, and it's going to be great.
Yes, that's actually one of your most recent books, and we're definitely going to get into that. But before we do, let me just ask you a question. I like to ask all the experts because we like to find out what the inspiration behind it all was. Because usually, to accomplish the kind of things that you've accomplished, there's usually a driving force, and it tends to start, I find, from very young. Either there was something that happened in somebody's life or some kind of inspiration or motivation that you had gotten or someone had gotten that kind of catapulted them into what they've accomplished. What was it for you that kind of got you down your road of getting into being a doctor and then doing all the things that you've been able to do?
Well, the one thing in medical school, I remember walking, it was down in New Orleans, and I remember walking down the street and I saw somebody with sort of a wheelchair and a cane, and I said, you know, I can't wait to help that, whatever that person is. I just couldn't wait. And the first year or so of medical school, you read books. And I'd had it with books. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to see people. I just couldn't wait to see people. And so I started a clinic down in the north, down in the 9th Ward, down in New Orleans, and I got to see my patients, and I absolutely loved that. But the underlying thing, I think I just enjoy improving people's lives. I think that's sort of the underlying force of all the things I do. I sort of pick something and says, well, this will improve somebody's life, and I think that's why I do things. Somebody asked me just what you did, Nick. They said, what starts people, or what gets them going? Is it a story, or is it some sort of a life and death situation or something? And I reviewed this with a friend of mine down in Philadelphia. He's a storyteller, and he said, you tell that story, because that is really what it is. And I didn't quite believe him, but when I was 9 years old, I had the appendix taken out like everybody else. Mm-hmm. But something happened. I had what they call a little complication. I had another operation, and another operation, and the third one, because I had these little, they call them adhesions, and it kept getting all the bowel tangled up like spaghetti. And the third one, I was 9, And I remember my mother said, he's not going to make it.
Oh, wow.
And I heard the words. I didn't even know what she meant. I have to admit, to this day, I still didn't know what she meant. I had no fear. I mean, you're 9 years old.
Right, right.
And I was kind of, the pain was unbelievable, but no fear. And she says, I don't think he's had 3 major operations in 3 months. He just can't make it. And the ambulance going down to the hospital. And I remember she said that. And I made it, obviously. I made it in spades. And maybe that was something that happened. Maybe that triggered this sense of just every day, just appreciating and being grateful for every day and really enjoying every day. And maybe that's what it was. But that's where I am right now. I absolutely enjoy every single day. It's just fantastic.
That's actually a good segue into the book. And just for everybody who's watching right now, this wasn't planned, but that just fit perfectly, because talking about what you're saying, that energy, having wanting to help people, this leads us right into your latest book, one of your latest books, about level 10 energy. And obviously, as you're talking, people can see it all over you. It's not fake. What is your definition of level 10 energy? What does that mean to people, and how do they go about starting the process of achieving it, especially with so many people today being so lethargic, tired all the time, just having a hard time just getting through the day? How do they go from getting just through the day to a point where they can be like you, where they're taking over the day?
All right. Yes. Level 10 energy. Level 10 energy. It's one of those days that everything goes great. You get going through the day. You don't have any problems pop up. You just manage everything. People don't complain. They may complain, but you don't even notice it, because you just have a great day on top of the world. You talk to people. People talk to you. You listen. They listen. You make money. It's one of those wonderful days that people say, gee, I wish I could have one of those days every day.
It's like one of those days where everything is kind of in flow.
And it's great. And that's what level 10 energy is. And I said, oh, come on, you can't have one of those every day. That's impossible. But it is possible. And I realized that after, maybe 3 years ago. Certainly for the past 5 years, I've had this unbelievable energy. But about 3 years ago, we were down in Australia. And my wife and I, Joan, and my son actually was down there too, Greg. And we were hanging out in Alice Springs. Alice Springs is the middle of nowhere out there, but it's a great place in Australia. And on the way back to the hotel, there's a couple of gentlemen there on the curb, and they had their heads down. They were complaining, whining about life, and just they'd probably been drinking all night. And I looked at them and I said, they don't even know what a level 10 energy day is. And I was just so grateful to have these level 10 energy days. And that's a level 0 or level 1 or level 2. Right. And those people are around, but there's a lot of people that go through life with sort of that level 5. And that's kind of, well, you just go through the day, you get up, you do your routine, you do the teeth, and you go to work, and you kind of get through the day, and you kind of come home and just hang out. I mean, that's a level 5 day. I mean, that's just nothing happened that day. And so level 10 day, those are those great days. And I'll tell you how to have one every day.
That's actually, you make it sound so appealing. That was actually going to be my next question. So let's say somebody watching this right now is saying, okay, he sold me on this level 10 day. How do I do that? Now, before we even go there, a sub question: is this a philosophy that you've actually been developing over time just through your own experiences, or is this actual research you've gone into trying to figure out how to increase your energy levels?
It's both. It's both. I realized that you mentioned that book about boop. Boop. It's a disease that I unfortunately was able to discover back in the 80s. And it's an inflammatory lung disease, and I discovered it through the computer, and there were some 5,000 people with lung disease, and there were 50 of them that had this certain kind of disease that hadn't really been described, and it was inflammation of the lung. And the exciting part about it is it's treatable with prednisone, and so I was fortunate enough to publish that, and in lectures and seminars throughout the world, actually. and really was able to help lots and lots and thousands of people because now it's diagnosed and it's treated very quickly. And so I see patients all over the world with this disease. As a matter of fact, today at the clinic down in Boston, I saw someone, and I realized the ones that do best, that really do well with that disease and any disease, are the ones that have developed this concept, this approach, this level 10 energy approach that I'm talking about. And so that really is so part of the research and part of just the way of life is how this has been developed.
And I'm assuming, because energy is more than just obviously what we eat. It's more holistic than that. There's different fields of energy. One of the things I speak about in my book is I have something that I call it the disease triad, which is deficiency, dehydration, and distress. So, and that tends to be one of the three combinations of why people get sick from one thing or another, why they get some kind of disease because of one of the three things. But putting that into what you're talking about, distress obviously is going to be an energy vampire, so to speak. Is going to take some of that out of you. How big is a role on your stress levels throughout the day when it comes to building this level 10 energy? And do you have any kind of formula or an idea of some things that somebody can do that's actionable, that maybe they can just reduce that stress a little bit, or just some ideas of what they can do regarding that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have 5 steps in the book about level 10 energy. 3 of them are very basic, very common, we've all heard about. 2 of them are a little bit unusual, but I also have 5 others, and that's where stress comes in. And we'll talk about each one of these, some real quickly and some a little bit more in depth. Why don't we start with the first one? It's an old-fashioned thing. You need 8 hours of sleep. 8 hours, Nick, not 10 and not 5. And the way you do it, you just go to bed, whether it's 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11, whatever it is, add 8 and get up. Don't get up before and don't get up after. And that's simple as that. And if you can't fall asleep, or if you can't sleep, you wake up and you can't sleep, there's a few tricks you can try. You can sort of use self-hypnosis, sort of relax your toes and relax everything. You can count from 100 back. There's several things you can do. The other thing about sleep is the reason you need it is from the brain. It has nothing to do with the body. It's actually the brain. The brain needs an energy chemical called adenosine. Mm-hmm. And adenosine kind of winds down during those waking hours. And by the time night comes around, it's depleted. And you've got to charge that back up. And it takes 8 hours to charge that adenosine back up. 6 won't do it. 10's too much, and then you get all messed up. So that's the reason you need the 8 hours, and you still need 8, no matter what anybody says.
That was actually going to be one of my questions, because there's so many people that talk about that, the different hours. There's some theories that say you can get by with 6 if you have the proper nutrition, etc.
I hear this every day. I can get by 4 hours, 6 hours.
Right.
Yeah, you can do it. But you want level 10 energy? You want to live an exciting life, enjoy every minute? You can't do that. As simple as that. Yeah, sure, you can do your 4 hours, 6 hours, but if you want that level 10 energy and a really exciting life, 8. It's 8 hours. Now, here's a little trick, Nick. You can take a nap. Mm-hmm. Naps are all great. They're great. The only trick about a nap is you have to do it for 18 minutes. Set your iPhone, set whatever it takes. Don't do it longer than 20 minutes.
Really? So that precise, 18 to be
precise?
It
has to be 18. If you do 30 minutes, for example, or 45, you're going to set yourself up for that. We have 3 sleep cycles every night, and you're going to set yourself up for that sleep cycle, and you won't be able to sleep that night. I'll guarantee that. 18 minutes is just fantastic. Give you a ton of energy. That's the story with sleep.
Sweet. So, question: within that 18 minutes, is that and my knowledge regarding sleep is not that great, but is that the 18 minutes? It allows you not to go into REM sleep. It
allows you not to get started into your natural. We have 3 sleep cycles every night. It's 2.5 hours each. It's just a natural thing we've had for thousands and thousands of years. And you go in those 3 patterns, and you go real light sleep and really deep sleep 3 times a night. And if you take 30-minute nap, 45-minute, biggest issue in America, Nick, people fall asleep at 7:30, 8 o'clock watching television, right? And they fall asleep for 45 minutes. It It completely ruins the whole natural cycle, and they're not gonna sleep at night. They're gonna toss and turn, then they're gonna complain, oh, I can't sleep, I have insomnia. That's not insomnia. It's terrible sleep hygiene, we call that. 18-minute naps, fine. Or you can take an hour and a half, 90 minutes.
Okay.
Little bit of surprise, 90 minutes, because 90 minutes then it counts as a cycle, and so you're okay. But just stick with 18, it works.
Okay, that's good. That's good information, though. So it's like okay, either 18 before you get into any cycle, before you do any real
That's
damage, or
That's
you finish the cycle.
No, you finish it. One or the other. But don't watch the TV, fall asleep in 45 minutes. You'll mess up the whole night.
Okay.
That's number one, and that's the start of Level Energy Day. I mean, it really works day in and day out and day in. You have to stay with it, but it really works. So second one, Nick, you're gonna love this one. Exercise. Now
There it is.
Exercise.
You're right.
Oh, for years and years and years. I've got 101 reasons why exercise is so fantastic, and I'm going to have 102 by the time Nick and I are finished tonight. It's unbelievable. The favorite one, oh, well, of course, it helps the heart, helps the lungs, helps the more efficient muscles, use of oxygen, but it feels good. That's the other thing. And the main thing is it gives you energy, unbelievable energy. Everybody says, oh, I don't have enough energy to do exercise. It's the opposite. It gives you unbelievable energy. Somebody said, well, how long have you had this high energy? And I was thinking, well, I've had it pretty much all my life, but for the past 5 years, I've had it a little bit more than before. And it's because I kind of doubled up my exercise. I've always been running marathons and running, but the past 5 years I've been working out every day. And it's just amazing. It gives you enough energy for the whole day. And if you don't do it, well, Nick, you know about that. You don't have that energy.
Absolutely.
So that's probably the biggest one. But here's a new one. Here's a couple new ones. One, Nick, you can meet your spouse. I was training for the New York Marathon. I was going along the Charles River here in Boston, and I saw somebody coming my other direction. I made the big U-turn. My wife, boom. And I didn't get maced and I didn't get shot, Nick. I mean, on the Charles River.
That's a good start.
You never know. And so here's another exercise. There's another benefit of exercise. You can meet your spouse.
That's good. That's good.
The other thing is it's great for stress. It's unbelievable for stress. I was in Japan giving a seminar about this BOOP disease, and my colleagues started attacking me. They didn't like the name. It wasn't professional enough. And they really attacked me, and I said, "Whoa, this is tough." And I mean, this is my thing. I mean, getting attacked, and I was upset. And I started running on the Kona River. It's like running in the Charles River. It was in Kyoto, and I ran 2, 3, 4 miles. I was all cranked up. I went 5 miles, 6 miles. I went up into the mountains, 7 miles, and then I started coming back about 8 or so. And all of a sudden, it was gone. I could care less about this silly thing. And by the time I got home, I absolutely forgot the whole issue. Not only that, to this day, I've completely forgot it. So it's great for stress. And you talked about being stressed out. That's a really great way to do it. Exercise. You need vigorous exercise. The best of your ability. Don't want to go overboard. Whatever. You don't want to go overboard because exercise can hurt you if you do it wrong. But it's just the best of your ability, and it'll work. The last one, I say 101, the last one that's sort of interesting, Nick, is my friend said, why don't you come to spin class? This was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I thought, guys don't do classes. Don't do classes, Nick, come on.
Macho men don't do spin classes, man.
My wife has been doing them, and she loves them. She's been doing them all along. And she's had a great time with all her friends, and they talk, and they had all them. She loves them, and I thought, oh, I can't do those things. It's some number one instructor's going to criticize you. I don't need that. And I mean, at any rate, I did it. And it's the best thing ever. And here's what happens. Spin class, you just spin on the bikes. There are about 30 people, and great music. You have to have great music. That's number one. Number two is you have an instructor. And the music is like a beat, like this electronic music is just great because it's got a perfect beat.
Right.
And you go fast, you go slow, you go up hills, you put attention on and so forth. But the main thing is you get to know everybody in the class. And you get the bonding thing. And Nick, this is a science. It's called oxytocin hormone. That's what's produced when you get a bunch of guys and women, this is co-ed, sweating together. You get all this oxytocin floating around. It's kind of a bonding hormone, and it's just great. So it gives you a ton of energy. So there you have it.
That raises a good point, because especially now you have, like, everybody's online now. You have social media,
Right.
which has taken the life strong.
Yeah.
You
You don't get the oxytocin with that, Nick.
Exactly. Because my point was, so many people are quote unquote with social media, they're becoming more social, but in actuality, they're actually becoming more antisocial the more online social we become.
It's opposite. You're absolutely right. And there's nothing like getting together and like working out. Like this morning, I mix it up. The other thing is, it's really important to mix up. Do some aerobics, do some lifting. It's really important to everyone to do some lifting, especially after 45 years old, because of the muscle mass is lost. I mean, by lifting, you don't have to be a weightlifter, but just 10, 20 pounds, and just do some weightlifting. And then a spin. I do that once a week, and then I do the aerobics, and now I'm doing some swimming. But mix it up. And it's really good. And you get all these other things. Our brain can actually, it's like a pharmacy. We can make every single drug that's available right here, and exercise seems to bring out just about all of those, all of the good ones, the serotonin, the dopamine, of course the endorphins. All of those things are kind of produced in the right amounts, and that's another reason exercise is great.
So if you need the right kind of drugs, you just need to go exercise.
Oh, that's it. It really is. You don't need no caffeine. You don't need caffeine. You certainly don't need all those drugs. I mean, you just don't need it. Not even close.
That talk you said about the run, that just brought up something to me, which is a great point that you made. Running in the mountains, you forgot about your stress, and everybody that was kind of giving it to you about the science you created and what you found and everything. Because there's actually a lot of people don't realize there's two types of stress. There's distress and then there's eustress. And for those who may not know, the kind that you were talking about is the eustress, which is stressful. It's stress that's good for the body, versus something that's breaking you down, which would be distress.
Oh,
and so
true.
you can use these positive stresses to do like you said, and actually, get you stronger, get you mentally stronger, and at the same time get you in a euphoric state where you forget about all the nonsense.
That's it. It works, Nick. So we got the sleep and we got the exercise, and those two, you're in pretty good shape. I mean, that exercise will last you. My friend that was going through a really tough period, he just really stressed out. And he was spinning or something, and he said, this really works. It gets me through the energy. But if I really have a bad day, it only gets me to 1 o'clock. But about 99% of the time, it got him through the whole day. But it does work that way. It gives you enough energy to deal with those stresses, and you really, by the end of the day, you're still good. And that's what it's all about.
Right.
So that's sleep, exercise, and the next one's nutrition, Nick.
Right. Actually, good point. Because I was about to ask you. Let's talk food. Let's talk nutrition. How does that affect people? Some people, if you look online, there's experts everywhere, of course, that say things. They all have competing advice.
Right.
One person says one, another person says the other. Another idea is food combining. Some people say if you don't mix carbs with proteins, and et cetera, you get more energy, you get less energy. What is your thoughts on that, and what is your approach on that?
Here's the story of that, Nick. You're absolutely right, and this is the hardest one of the three, because it's just very difficult. Because of that, there's so much information about foods and competing information and totally opposite. The other thing about food is it's everywhere, Nick, and it's cheap, and it tastes great, right? I mean, come on, it's unbelievable.
Right,
and the number one food in America is potatoes, and the number one, probably least healthy food are potatoes. I mean, and I'll tell you why. But that's the issue, and we've been conditioned, certain conditioning in American society, our parents and our kids and everything. Boy, we eat, and conditioning is really hard to fight. And you have all these elements, and it's really hard. But here's my approach. There's 3 foods 3 food groups you can handle, and
Okay.
eat as much as you want of them. Now, number 1 is lean protein. And what I mean by lean protein is really lean, like a chicken, to get rid of everything. Get rid of the skin, the fat, and everything, and boil it. It's just absolutely boring. You drain all the fat out, and that's lean protein. And then you can jazz it up with some healthy herbs. Some of these herbs are really unbelievable. They're antitoxins. They're even anti-cancers, and put healthy foods with it. You can really dress it up. The other one, of course, is salmon and fish. Those are a great source of protein. And if you don't like fish, if you want to eat just vegetables, quinoa. Do you know about quinoa?
It's a rice.
It's kind of a rice. It's from Bolivia. And
Right.
it's tasty, and it's got a ton of protein in it. And, of course, the legumes have a lot of protein. So lean protein, number 1. All right? So stick with lean protein. If it's not lean protein, don't eat it. The only thing you have to be careful about with protein, just protein in general, is the company it keeps. And like the paleo diet you're supposed to eat like a caveman. Well, the concept is okay, it's good. The problem is when you eat beef, it's got a lot of fat in it, and hamburgers, and all of that, and hot dogs, and sausages, bacon. Oh, all that's got a ton of bad fat in it. Yeah, it's got the protein, but it's got so much bad stuff with it. So you have to be careful there. Lean protein.
So as far as that's concerned, Doc, do you so are you into the idea of the food combination? So if somebody's listening to this right now and they're saying, okay, that sounds good, do I put my vegetables with that? Do I have that? Does it matter, or can you just eat it all on the same plate?
Here it comes in. So that's number 1, protein, right? Now the second thing is fat. You've got to have fat, right, Nick? You've got to have it, and do the unsaturated fats. Omega-3 is the best one there is. Omega-3 protects your heart, protects the blood vessels. And here's what fat does. Here's what the saturated fat does. If you eat too much of it, we can handle 25 grams, which is good. But let's say you have a hamburger and it's got 50 grams of fat in there, or even candy bars have fat in it. But you read the labels. Saturated fat, say it's 50 grams. That other 25 is not really metabolized well at all. It goes in your bloodstream, it goes into their arteries, and really injures the arteries, inflammation, and plaque, and you got the big heart attack and a stroke. And it directly injures that over that 25-gram range. And so that's really the reason you stick with the unsaturated fats. The saturated fats will do that to you. And so stick with the unsaturated fats. So olive oil and avocados are good. The best, though, are the omega-3 unsaturated fats, and that's where you get the salmon and walnuts. So stick with those. All right, so those are 2 groups. Lean protein and then unsaturated fat. Those most people can handle. People are doing pretty well with those now compared to the 50s. The big one, Nick, carbohydrates. This is the catastrophe. If you see somebody with a few extra pounds, like 20, 30, 40, or 50 in the belly, or the hips, that's from carbohydrates, period. It's from carbohydrates. It's not from eating protein or from eating fats. It's from carbohydrates and what I call fast burn carbohydrates. You want to eat slow burn carbohydrates.
Okay.
Slow burn carbohydrates does not increase your blood sugar. If it increases the blood sugar, here's what happens, Nick. Say you have, like potatoes, actually, are a fast burn carbohydrate. Potatoes, too many of those potatoes increases the blood sugar. And in order to bring that back down, insulin has come out, and this is fine. It's a natural thing. The problem is it's too much. That extra turns to triglycerides, and it's a storage sugar at this stage, and it floats around the bloodstream. Number 1, it injures the arteries just like those saturated fats, but it goes right into the belly because that has to store it. It's a storage type of glycogen. So that's the big issue with those fast burn carbohydrates. Any carbohydrate is going to shoot up that bloodstream. Out comes the insulin. Worse than that, right behind that is our friend cortisol. Cortisol is a real good thing if it's a medicine. It's an anti-inflammatory, but it's in the body. It causes inflammation and directly causes belly fat, and that's even called a cortisol belly. And so that's all related to fast burn carbohydrates.
And are there just to have some clarity for everybody, is there such a thing as fast burn and then slow burn carbohydrates? In other words, should somebody be sticking with one kind of maybe potato or carbohydrate versus another, or should they just try to stay away from all of it as much as possible?
No, 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 no. Carbohydrates are great. Slow burn ones.
Slow
Nick,
burn.
stay with slow burn carbohydrates. And here they are. The vegetables. Spinach, probably number one on the list. Broccoli, all of the vegetables, the green vegetables, and the colors are great. Peppers, those colored peppers, the color itself is an anti-inflammatory. It's amazing. And the other ones are all those fibers. It's kind of boring, oats and things like that, but fiber, that's fantastic. These are all great things. There's rapini. That's a new one. I don't know if you've heard of that one, Nick.
No, I'm not familiar with that one. What is that?
It's a good one. It's in the broccoli family, but it's great.
Oh, okay.
All those are real slow burn. They really are. And they have a ton of all kinds of nutrients, antioxidants in there. They have anti-inflammatory chemicals in there. Those are what I call slow burn. All the vegetables. Fruit is okay too, to a certain extent, not too much. The reason fruit, it's sweet. You would think, well, gee, that's dangerous. But it's okay because it's metabolized in the liver and it doesn't shoot up that insulin like some of the other, like sugar-based foods do. The ones to avoid are really sugar-based carbohydrates, and those are the huge group. I mean, you stop at one of the little shops along the highway, and there's not one thing in there that's not a fast burn carbohydrate. All those drinks,
Right.
and all these things. It's really hard. But stick with slow burn carbohydrates. Oh, you need them. There's no question about it. About 30 or 40% of your diet really should be those slow burn carbs.
Let's talk about, because I know you're big on brain waves. You know a lot about brain waves in terms of increasing energy levels. And aside from stress, aside from physical exercise and nutrition and everything else that we've covered so far, you can actually, and I know you're a proponent and you teach this, you can also use your mind to increase your energy levels. How does that work? How's the process of that work, and what is something that somebody does? Like, how do they actually do that to get them in that state of energy?
Oh, sure. This is great. So we've talked about that sleep, the 8 hours, talked about that 1 hour of exercise, and eat those slow burn carbs. There's one quick one before we get to that, and that is learn something new every day. Just learn something. The more random, the better. Learn how to swim. Learn how to dance. Take spinning. Learn about economics. Learn about philosophy. Just anything. Because it gives you energy. It really does. It's amazing what it does. For example, there's a reading library, and you can get CDs and take an actual course in your car while you're driving back and forth. And do it. It's really great. Learn something new every day. It gives you a ton of energy. Using the mind. This is amazing. It's probably, first, there are 4 or 5 brain waves that we have. Nick, some of them are slow when you're sound asleep, and some of them are really fast when you have really one of those hyper days like an NFL quarterback or something. They're in the zone. That's kind of called gamma. That's about 20 cycles per second. You and I are in 14 cycles per second, called beta. But alpha and theta are the good ones. Alpha and theta usually asleep. Alpha is your REM sleep that you mentioned, and it's slow. It's about 10. Theta is about 6 to 7 cycles per second. It's real slow. And then there's a real deep one called delta. But alpha is just wonderful. Alpha is, everybody's been in alpha. When you're in REM sleep, you wake up and you're dreaming. Now you're in alpha. But the main thing is do it while you're awake. That's what counts. and the way you do it is old-fashioned meditation. Just old-fashioned meditation. Sit there and either say something or to yourself or just space out. I can't sit. I'm just too hyper, Nick. I can't sit. So I'm on a treadmill. I'm running on the treadmill, and you know those little television sets I turn it off, and there's this shadow in there. It's me actually, and I kind of look at my nose, and after about 2 or 3 minutes, boom, I'm in alpha. I just kind of space out, and it's really great because a couple of things I do when I'm in there. Number one is you just randomly think. You just let whatever comes to mind. The other thing is you can plan your day in that kind of state, and the other, which is really interesting, you can heal your body. You really send some some healing to various parts, whatever is hurting at the moment, because there's always something hurting somewhere. And so that's what you can do when you're sort of in this alpha state. And I usually do 15, 20 minutes. It's probably great if you could do 30 or 45, but I'm good for 15. But it's good. And here's what it produces. We're finding new things all the time. It produces those same things, the serotonin, the dopamine, all those feel-good hormones. It produces them. The other thing is, interesting one, it increases the chromosomes. You know about these chromosomes. At the end, there's telomeres. And telomeres are at the end of the chromosomes. And each time the cell divides, it gets a little shorter, and a little shorter, and finally dies. And it takes maybe 70, 80 years for that to happen. But it does happen. It's called aging. And meditation and exercise too, but meditation actually stops that. So that's kind of exciting discovery. And we're finding things all the time. It's basically whatever you can do it, any way you can want to do it. You can do eyes open, go for a hike and just space out. That's alpha. Maybe taking a shower, you can go into alpha. If you cold shower and a hot shower, cold shower and a hot shower, you can kind of slip into alpha. Running, walking, and daydreaming. Daydreaming, that's alpha rhythm, and it's really good for you.
So that's funny that you say daydreaming, because I used to get yelled at all the time in school when the teacher would say, focus, you're daydreaming, because I'd look out the window.
It's amazing. It's absolutely true. And it's like creativity. Creativity is the same kind of concept. When there's a thing called frontal lobe, and it takes 25 years to develop that frontal lobe, and that's why teenagers it's called the judgment lobe. I mean, you make your judgments with that. And teenagers, we don't have the frontal lobe. It's not there. You can't make judgments. But after 25, it's developed, and it's really good. It keeps you out of jail, keeps you normal. But the problem with it, for creativity, you have to shut that down. You've got to shut it down, because if you have ideas bubble up, it'll stop them. It'll stop them before they even get to your conscious mind, because that's its job. The frontal lobe is to keep you within norm. And in order to succeed, you got to go out of the norm. You not only go outside the box, you got to go outside the box, because everybody nowadays goes outside the box, and you need that creativity and that alpha rhythm. And if you shut down that frontal lobe, that's what alpha rhythm does. It just shuts it down, and you're spaced out in alpha rhythm, and it's really fantastic. And as you say, the teachers yell at you if you're daydreaming, but that's really what you need for creativity. It's not what you need to stay out of jail, but it is certainly what you need for creativity. And that's what life is really about, is have fun, is be creative. So that's the story with alpha waves.
That's good to know. So everybody out there, don't yell at your kids if you see them daydreaming. It's a normal process.
It's normal. It's absolutely normal. And that's why they come up with these great ideas. They have a great imagination, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't have a frontal lobe. It doesn't work. And so adults can take a lesson. Shut down that frontal lobe if you want to be creative. Keep it going if you're driving and things like that, but shut it down when you're trying to be creative.
So let me ask you this, Dr. G. So you say, okay, we've covered a good broad array of of components dealing with getting to this level 10 energy, as you talk about for your book. So, in your opinion, is somebody able to go from listening to this podcast, because we do this on podcasts, it's on iTunes, or those who watch it live and on YouTube. So regardless of how they get the message, if they're hearing you talk about this, is this something that, today's Thursday, they say, okay, I want to get level 10 energy by Friday or Saturday, boom, let me see if I can get that done? Or is it something that's a process that they kind of have to build up to? Is there like a time frame of how they can go from where they are to level 10?
Yeah, it certainly depends on where people are. If people are sort of been exercising and sort of been eating right, or at least thinking about eating right, trying to eat right, and they sort of have a sense of that they do need this 8 hours of sleep, it doesn't take any time at all for that group. But if somebody is really doesn't really care about sleep, and for someone who does not like exercise and someone who doesn't pay any attention to food, it will take a long time. It will take a long time, but it certainly is possible, and because there's just a lot of conditioning issues to deal with, society conditioning issues, and one of them is aging. You talked about, I think, in our little blurb, we talked about you can actually be a year younger. For my birthday, I had a birthday here a month or so ago, and I was all excited because I'm a year younger. And people said, well, you're crazy, but I am a year younger, because there's 3 ages. There's biologic age, there's psychologic age, and my least favorite, it's administrative thing, chronologic age. The only thing that's good for is the government. It's useless. It's a useless number. Biologic age is what really counts, what your biologic age is. And you can be 20 years easily less than your chronologic age.
That's an excellent point, because you know what? Now that you bring that up, so many people just think in terms of just one age. How old am I, or how old am I looking, and that's it.
And this is where conditioning comes in. It's just unbelievable. Birthday cards. Oh, you're a year older. Oh, how's it feel? Get old. You must be doing this. You're old. You got to get a cane and all this kind of thing. Our society has conditioned us to get old. It really has. Oh, you're 60 years old. You can't do that. 60. Right. Come on.
It's all a bunch of nonsense, actually.
Even in their 30s and 40s will say, oh, I'm too old to do that. Oh, come on. It's society. It's been conditioning. And so you have to kind of decondition that. And that's, number one is to know that it's what the issue is. But 2, you have to decondition that. And it's certainly possible. That's for sure.
It's a lot of limiting beliefs, like you said. It's a lot of limiting beliefs.
Limiting beliefs, that's the word, yeah.
You know, because I mean, this is probably a little bit irrelevant, but it kind of does tie in a little bit. Talking about age doesn't matter, and it's just about how you're feeling on the inside. You go back and you look at history, and you look at some of the old time warriors of the past, and you look at the warrior kings of like groups like Spartans and other types of warrior tribes. And it was documented that the kings would be in battle in their 60s, late 60s, and just be as, as energetic and able to compete and do combat as well as the 20 and 30-year-olds, because of the phenomenal condition that they took care of themselves.
Well, it wasn't conditioning. It wasn't an issue of conditioning. They weren't conditioned to grow old.
Right.
And we've been conditioned to grow old, so you gotta fight that one. Everybody's got to fight that one.
So, Dr. G, how does somebody? Okay, so we talked about a lot of stuff. Level 10. Where do they go to actually get this book so that they can get? I'm sure, because this is just a smidget of all the stuff that's in the book talking about energy. So, if somebody wants to go ahead and pick that up, where can they go pick up that book right now?
Well, right now it's on Amazon. Just type in Epler, E-P-L-E-R, and type in fuel, and it'll show up. Or you can come on over to the website, Epler, E-P-L-E-R, health.com, and take a look and look around and send me a note, and I'll send you something back even.
Oh, sweet.
And if you buy one from there, I'll even autograph it and send you a nice little note.
So let me ask you this.
How are we doing for time?
We are good. We got about 10 minutes.
Oh, 10. Okay, because we've talked about 5 of the key things, but I've got 5 more. So.
Oh, if you got some good stuff, I'm not going to stop you. Bring it on. I'm sure everybody wants to hear it, so bring it on.
Okay, so those are the big 5. That 8 hours of sleep, 1 hour of vigorous exercise, eat the right foods, and then learn something new every day, and use that alpha rhythm. Use that alpha rhythm. Now, the other thing is, so there's 5 more, and the thing, I talked about this concept we talked about with the internet, of this social interaction,
yes.
And this bonding hormone. That's number 6. You really need 1 hour of social interaction, and you really do, whether it's meeting a friend or just talking face to face, person to person, or group. For example, when I work out in the mornings, we have a little steam room there. And it's only 5 or 6 minutes we sit in there, but we've got about 5 or 6 guys in there. And there are all kinds of guys. There's steel workers in there, there's iron workers, there's mechanics, there are millionaires, lawyers, all kinds. And we talk about nothing. Absolutely. But it just feels great because you're not talking about the things you got to do or anything. And no complaints, nobody's whining or complaining. It's just great. And that is healthy. It gives you energy, and it gives you all these bonding hormones. It really does. And so just spend some time every single day, whether it's at work or going home or whatever. You really need that 1 hour of social interaction. So that's number 6, Nick. All right.
That's that's a great point, because I actually did a video a couple of months ago talking about having a sense of community, being social, because one of the things was, you look back there, in the 60s and the 70s, and even in the early 80s, more people got together. They played at the parks. They got together. They were more involved with the community, and you don't see that as much anymore.
Oh, anything. It's really healthy. And you live longer. It's healthy, and it gives you level 10 energy. I mean, it's just great. You got to try to sneak that in. You really do. So the next one you talked about earlier, got to manage fear and stress. And really, it's manage stress. Because the basis of stress, Nick, is really fear. If you think of all the stresses that you've had during the day, or it's usually based on fear. Now, acute stress, we can handle that. Come on, somebody runs into your car, you get a fender bummer, you might get worked up and all boiled up, but you get over that. I mean, we can handle a little acute stress. But that chronic stress, day in, day out, day in, those are the killers, literally the killers, because it produces cortisol, which we've talked about, that weight gain, strokes, and heart disease. No question, 100% related, chronic stress. 2 causes of chronic stress, the number 2 causes. The first one is family stress.
we all know that one.
If you let, family stress. The second one, of course, is work stress, and a boss that there's certain kind of bosses. It's even called a triad. They have a certain kind of personality or supervisor, but they're brutal, and every day you have to face that. It'll kill you. It'll absolutely kill people. So those are the 2 places. And so how do you manage that stress? Because that is number 6. Number 7 is manage stress. And again, the basis of a lot of that stress is fear. You're afraid of the boss. You're afraid of that person because that's the way they are. They've done that to you. Family members done that to you. And so realize it's fear. You work that fear out. And how you handle stress, we talked about one way is exercise. And one other way is what we call a bypass. It's phenomenal. It works phenomenally well. Picture your boss, really nasty boss, and get that feeling in your gut, and then say to yourself, love and peace, love and peace, love and peace. Just say that for about 1.5 minutes. Do that twice a day for about 14 days. And is what happens is you've set up a neural pathway in your brain. You see that boss, boom. It's a neural pathway, and it causes all that stress. And you got to bypass that. And that's
interesting. I like that.
Phenomenal technique. It really works.
That's great. So in essence, you're creating a neural net.
Because I had somebody like that, and I tried it. And after about 7 days, I didn't get this feeling in my stomach. At 14 days, I saw him, looked him about that far away, right in his eyes, and I just felt fantastic because he was ready to, blast me out about something. He didn't. He just changed his mind. So, oh, forget this. I'm going to go do somebody else. Amazing.
So in essence, you're just reconditioning yourself every time you see that stressor.
That's it. It's a new pathway. A new pathway, and you see that, guy, that person, a woman or a guy or supervisor, whatever. Oh, we all have had them. and you have no feeling whatsoever. It's just the best in the world.
Fantastic tip.
So that's now the other three are just things that really help me. And the number 7 is be grateful at all times. Just be grateful. Catch yourself. I just do it so many times. I don't know, doing something like yesterday or today, and something about my wife, and I'm just so grateful that I have my wife Joan, because she just is just such a perfect compliment for me, and I'm just grateful for my wife, and I'm grateful for my work, and I'm just a grateful guy, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have. And the other one is see the good in everything. And it's old-fashioned, but it really works. If you have a fight with someone, maybe your brother, or for example, a parent with their son or their daughter, if you have a fight with them and you find yourself fighting, it's because you're thinking about the bad parts. And there's so many great things that person has. And here you're just thinking about the bad things, and it ends up a fight. And just see the good things, and that gives you a ton of energy. The last one, number 10, help somebody. Just help somebody out, give you a nice burst of energy. So there they are, all 10 steps, Nick.
Now, these are, anybody who's listening right now should have written this down. If you didn't get it, you can catch it on YouTube again and watch it over. These are some fantastic tips. But I just find it interesting that a lot of what you talk about to get this level 10 energy is, most people would think that 80% of it would be physical, but in actuality, the majority of what you spoke about today was all mental.
It is.
Was just a lot of these, like you said, having that attitude of gratitude, helping somebody else, having a sense of community, being social with people, being around other people. This is all mental energy.
But it gives you more. It gives you level 10 energy is what it does. It's amazing. Absolutely.
Right. It recycles that energy and puts you to that, as you say, that level 10 that just kind of reciprocates you and just self-perpetuates and gets you going throughout the day, every day.
Yeah, every day, and it lasts all day. We have a couple more minutes?
We got about 3 minutes.
3 minutes. I have to tell you the story. I asked the medical students, I asked them, I have a question for them. Do you want to be a gas tank doctor, or do you want to be a solar panel doctor?
Okay.
They look at you, I don't know, what are you talking about? Here's a gas tank doctor. Starts out at 9 o'clock in the morning, sees a patient. Patient's complex. A little high blood pressure, diabetes, heart problems. And the doctor starts using that knowledge that he's learned about it, or she's learned about, and use all that knowledge, and really does phenomenal. Really understands what's going on, gets the right treatment, and puts a ton of energy into it. And the next patient comes along, and it's another complex one, and just uses every bit of that knowledge and does everything right, and just phenomenal. And the third one comes along, well, this doctor is using so much energy, I'm getting tired just thinking about it. By the third, fourth, fifth patient, the doctor is shot, is out of it, goes home at night. Oh, come on, there is no energy, nothing. That's called a gas tank doctor, and I tell you, it doesn't have to be a doctor. You're a gas tank worker. Right. Here's a solar panel worker. Solar panel doctor starts out, same patient, complex diabetes, high blood pressure, starts talking to the patients, finding out the symptoms and finding out, and about halfway through, he kind of realizes, this is amazing that I have the privilege to do this, to try to help this person, and to have the knowledge and to learn what I've done so that now I can help this person. This is really phenomenal that I get to do this. He gets that doctor gets energy, and it's positive. The patient feels it, the doctor feels it, that patient's going to go out there feeling better than when the patient came in. And the doctor's going to feel better. And each patient's that way. That doctor goes home, it's fantastic. He's all set for the rest of the night. So
that's truly a win-win situation.
Gas tank worker, are you a solar panel worker? reflect that energy.
That's a great story. That's definitely win-win for everybody across the board.
There
I
you
like
go.
that. So everybody who's watching, hey, listen, because we are about to run out. As well, there it is. That sound lets us know that we are about out of time. But all your information will be available for drepler.com. We'll have all the links up. I'll definitely have it on the YouTube video. So anybody wanting to buy his book, the Level 10 Energy, as well as his other works, because he has a series of other books talking about just as good stuff with asthma and everything else. So we'll have all the links up there. And are you going to be doing any keynote speeches, or will you be anywhere that somebody might be able to attend, or doing any talks around town or around the country that you might want
Well,
to talk about?
we're going to be. We're going to be giving a ton of them. I just don't have the schedule right now, but yeah, we definitely do. We love to give seminars.
Okay, well, we'll make sure we'll have the link to your website. So anybody looking to be a part of any of your speeches, we'll have that. I'm sure you probably keep that up to date on the website that you have,
Sure.
right? So, okay, great. So we'll have that. So I want to thank you once again, Dr. G, for coming on. I appreciate it. It was fantastic. You actually energized me because
There you go. See,
I've been up
solar
and at it
panel
since
guy.
5 o'clock. There you go. You
You're a
solar paneled
solar
me.
panel guy, Nick.
I've been up and at it since about 5 this morning, and I got to be honest, by the time the show was about to start, I was actually at about a level 4.
That's right. Hey, see, now you got it. That's the idea, Nick. You
and,
got
and
it.
and I'm thinking to myself, man, this guy calls himself the level 10 doctor. I'm hoping he can give me something right now because I'm
Yeah.
struggling.
All right.
All right, guys, so this has been another episode of the Healthy Hangout. It's been a pleasure once again with Dr. Gary Epler talking about Level 10 Energy with all his books and information. We'll have all the links to his websites and where he'll be talking. And once again, Doctor, appreciate it. And we'll try to get you back on if you're available sometime in the next few weeks, and we'll go over some more good stuff because you have a ton of information and love to hear more about your experiences.
Hey, Nick, can't wait. And you are going to have a level 10 energy day, and everybody watching is going to have a level 10 energy day. They're the best.
Thanks again, Doctor.